Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Want to become a smarter deer hunter? Know when to hunt, where to hunt, how to hunt? Well, Deer Hunting Institute Part 1 was created to do exactly that, because many people have told me they struggle with spending all days in the wood and never seeing a deer, only shooting does and young deer, leaving the woods empty-handed way too many times. Found Mr. Wonderful, but just couldn't get on him, having difficult finding a place to hunt. Recognizing possible mistakes you're making every year. Having tried and failed to find qualified mentors who deliver results. If you had these frustrations or struggles, go to deerhuntinginstitute.com and there you'll find a 13-module course to help you solve these problems. Again, go to deerhuntinginstitute.com and find some answers. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is a Wednesday spotlight on effective range targets with Dave Howard. Dave's a fellow Coloradian, and he's also an engineer. And a few years back, he said, man, there's got to be a better way. And so, Dave, welcome to the show, and let's talk about effective range targets.
Well, thanks, Bruce. Well, effective range targets, I created those about 2 years ago and went through a long process. And it really came about because in my family, I grew up in a time where you got to go hunt with your grandfather and your uncle and your cousins and your dad and his brother. And fall was just a special time. And that tradition's continued in my family. Raised my kids to hunt. My wife knows it's a special time and gives me freedom to be gone more than usual. And some of the household chores don't get done. In fact, I'm celebrating a big birthday this year, and my middle son and I are going moose hunting in British Columbia as a gift to myself. And I have found that hunting is such a special thing in my family that we all look forward to it, but it has given me a time to know my children and those around me in just a special way. And my children are now no longer children, they're grown adults, and my middle son is really kind of my hunting buddy because my older son lives in England and we get to hunt occasionally together. But he started mentoring a friend of his that was a first generation hunter, is a term we use in the industry. Never hunted before. So as friends, they started hunting, and I got to watch him mentor his friend and understand all the things that I take for granted that I taught my sons and daughter that this new person never had. When I was young, you could start walking with your dad hunting when you were 10. And in Colorado, you couldn't get a license till you were 14. So we had 4 years of kind of mentoring with the family of how you walk quietly in the woods, how you look for sign, how you would determine who shot first, how far you could shoot, all the ethics of the industry. And I remember one night we were driving from a hunting area, and all the kids were in one truck, and my father and grandfather and adults were in the other truck. And the game warden stopped them and checked, and everything was fine. And they say, are the people behind you with you? And my grandfather says, yes. He says, is I'm going to find anything wrong in that truck? He goes, no, they're my grandkids. So we got taught a lot of things in those first years that I tried to teach my children. And I got to thinking that in our society, the aging of our hunting group, which includes me now, okay, we don't have a lot of dynamics are changing. I have 3 grown adult kids, 34, 31, 28, no grandkids, okay? By the time I was their age, I had 3 kids. I got to teach my children to hunt. I got to hunt with my grandfather. As a grandfather, which I hope I'll be one day, I may never get to go hunting with my kids because of how the aging of America goes. We also see that when I grew up, hunting was a thing that was accepted in Colorado. I'm a sixth generation Coloradoan. Nope, I'm fifth, my son's sixth. And hunting was accepted by everybody. And now hunting is kind of looked down a little bit. So I was at the age and the time that I said, what can I do to help these things? So I came up with a target that I enabled effective range. And I called it that because I think that the terminology of it was so important. And I want to define it for you and your listeners, Bruce, and we'll do it again before the show's over. Effective range, as we call it, is the ethical distance in which you can realistically take a shot and expect a one-shot kill. As I grew up, Bruce, you learned how far you could shoot by shooting. Take a poke and a hope, okay? Other slang words that we used, okay? I learned how far I should or shouldn't shoot by making mistakes, shooting too far. Shoot an animal and hit it in the leg, have to track it and get it. And I wanted something that would make hunters more successful, more accurate, help teach some of the things I learned early on, and not have them have to go through the trial and error, and really have something that could teach them their effective range, how far they could shoot by hunting position for any animal. So in my development of the targets, it took me about 6 or 8 months to determine what the vital size of each big game animal was, because I found that different people have different concepts of that. So our targets are all based upon the vital size of each animal, so we have a variety of targets. The targets really have and I'm going to show one to you. So the outer size is the vitals at 100 yards. And then what we did is we have concentric circles going inside that showed you what that vital size is at 200 yards as seen at 100 yards, and so forth. So you set our target at 100 yards, you shoot at it 5 times, and it will measure your shooting ability, how far you can shoot from that position for that animal out to 600 yards. One of the things we've seen in our industry in the last 5 years is the 1 MOA guns, half a MOA guns.
Listeners know your definition of MOA.
Well, it's a term that's thrown around, and basically it is that your gun is set up that when you shoot 2 shots at 100 yards, that the distance between them, you can shoot a group that's an inch or smaller, okay? 1 inch at 100 yards, 1 MOA. And there's mills and all this stuff, and I would tell all of your listeners, I'm not a ballistics geek. I'm not that. That's not me. I'm an average hunter that shoots a 50-year-old Remington Model 700 30-06 with the Leopold scope on it, 3x9, and that's what I've hunted with my whole life.
Nothing wrong with that gun.
Nothing wrong with that gun. And my kids say that, because I have a 7mm and some other guns, but if we're hunting and they see me kneel down and pull the gun up, they just know good things are going to happen because I'm used to it. But Remington guy, I shot Remington Core-Lokt for most of my life because that's what my father shot. And you look on the box of the Remington Core-Lokt and it'll tell you if you zeroed it 200 yards, at 300 you drop 8 inches, at 400 you drop 26 inches or whatever. And that's kind of the ballistics knowledge that I use when I go hunting, okay? I'm not one that hand loads my own stuff and do that. Those people are special, okay? And I appreciate what they do. And we've had people like that shoot our target and been impressed on how accurate it is to help them understand their loading and how it performs. They love the feature that they can set it at 100 yards and they can get some of that longer distance information because they don't want to walk 600 yards out and get the target every time either. So we developed this because in this discussion by many people in the industry, long-range shooting and shooting animals at these unbelievable distances, and there's TV shows that do it. I wanted a target that could show people what their gun and their ability really can do, okay? And it's been fun through this process because we've had a gentleman working with us. His name is Weston Trapp. He was a sniper in the military. And in 2011, he was ranked the 18th best sniper in the world, okay? And so he is a marketing guy out of Colorado and has helped us with some of our marketing, and thus he gets to shoot our targets, and we've had a lot of fun together doing that. But he tells us that when you sit him down with a sniper rifle and a spotter, he can put on his Superman cape and shoot unbelievable distances because he was trained to do that. When you take off his Superman cape and you put him in a hunting situation with a hunting position and a hunting gun, he's just a better than average shot, okay? And when we go to shows, we display some of his targets because people come to us and say, oh, I can shoot an elk at 1,000 yards, okay? I hold up his elk target that 18th best sniper in the world shot, and he and I argue about it because one of the bullets clipped the 5 ring. So I tell him he's only a 500-yard qualified shot prone, and he says, no, it's 6. But what we wanted to do was create a target that talked about really that ethical distance, how far you can shoot and expect the one shot you may kill. And we have people that go out and shoot steel and enjoy that. And some fun numbers, Bruce, that the last census showed there's about 16 million big game hunters in America. Fun statistics, 80% of those hunters hunt deer. And of those 80% that hunt deer, 90% of them are whitetail. So whitetail is the biggest, the largest number of people hunt whitetail in America. They're the huge part of our hunting industry. But the thing about that is that there are 45 million recreational shooters. Many of the hunters are included in that recreational shooting group. One of our goals, too, with our target is let the recreational shoot it because it's fun. Our rings on our targets mean something. A 7 ring on an NRA target doesn't mean anything. Rings on our targets really have a practical application so you can really have some fun with your friends. But we'd like people that are in the recreational area to say, you know what, I could go hunting. This is fun. And they could know their real ability as it relates to hunting. And we'd like to steal some of those 45 million recreational hunters, put them over in the hunting group because hunting has dropped in percentage of participation, okay? And we want to booster that up. We want it to be more fun. We want it to be more successful. For many years, there's been talk of stages of being a hunter, okay? First become a hunter and how you progress to be a sportsman, okay? And that's by growing in skills and growing success. And we want to teach some of those sportsman type concepts early on for every hunter to embrace. And embrace that the experience, okay, and the challenge are what's important. The harvest is the result of the right challenge and the right experience. Some of my most memorable hunts are hunts I didn't get anything on. I'm going to show you our target again, but this time I'm going to show you the back. On the back of every target are some silhouettes of animals. The one silhouette there is my mule deer, my elk, my son's antelope. Then there's a bighorn sheep right here. That's not mine. It's my hunting buddies. I've hunted bighorn sheep twice. And I may not look it on the video, but I'm a greedy man, okay? Because when I was hunting bighorn sheep here in Colorado, there's a well-known area. Everybody knew there was a new world record ram there. First day of the season, I got within 80 yards of the ram. I was hunting with my bow. Too far for me to shoot. I spent the whole season hunting that ram. It was him and 9 rams. Never got a shot off. But one of the most memorable hunts I've ever had. Most memorable. I've had a license for over 50 years. So I told you before, I walked for 4 years before I got a license, so it kind of gives you a hint of my age. But so I've hunted for over 50 years, and I can tell you that hunt where I didn't get anything is still one of my most favorite hunts. And I want people to understand that and embrace that hunting isn't a 2-day event or 5-day event. You're a hunter, Bruce. You know that we start dreaming about it the day the season's over. And we get together with our friends and we have a big deal. We have a big game banquet as we start to lay out where we're going to hunt and what we're going to hunt next year. And we start dreaming about that before we have to apply April 1st in Colorado for the next year's tags. So our fun is not only in the fall, but it starts at Christmas, and we kind of have Christmas all year dreaming about hunting. So the target was developed so that I could kind of answer some of those needs I wanted to give back to the hunting industry. And Bruce, when I got first introduced to you, I go, this is the kind of guy that I can relate with, that is passionate about hunting and whitetails and decided to do something about it. He created a podcast. He has really great people come on it. that helps the listeners. And his passion for whitetail and hunting itself is a great example.
Thank you.
And that's why we are so excited to be on your show today, because we think it's powerful. And we like to be associated with influential, powerful people like you. But that's what kind of drove us to try to do this, is to make a difference as you were trying to do. So I'm going to hold up another target to kind of talk about it. This is one of our antelope targets. So in the center of every target is a silhouette of the animal, and it's not the size or portion. It's just if you go to buy one, you know you're buying the right thing. It says antelope on the top, but here, I hope your viewers can see the 5 shots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the person that shot this, they were standing offhand and shot this target 5 times, and all are within the 100-yard circle.
So at 100 yards, the animal's dead.
100 yards, the animal's dead, standing offhand. This person could shoot. I'm not that good offhand, Bruce.
What was that best shot? 400 yards?
Yeah, the 400 yards is best, but as we know in hunting, it's kind of a stressful time. And the NRA spent a lot of money saying that 5 shots is the minimum to give you your ability determination. In fact, if this was an NRA target, they'd make you shoot at it 10 times and have the ring that holds all 10 be your rating. But we thought hunters wouldn't do that. So I'm going to show you another one here. So this person shot 100 yards. I'm going to try to find the other one here.
So listeners, let's just walk through. Put that in front of your dark shirt, the antelope one, the one you just had.
And then I'm going to show you this one. Okay, so
Yeah, put it in front of your dark shirt so people can see the holes.
See the holes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 hit the 400-yard ring.
Right.
2 are in the 200-yard ring.
Right.
And 2 are in the 100-yard ring.
Now, what are the middle dots for? The big circles below.
Okay, well, let me just explain one thing and I'll get to that.
Okay.
So our targets are based on you shoot 5 times from a hunting position. The ring that holds all of them, or you can look at it, the bullet farthest from the center, whatever ring that's in, that's how far you can ethically shoot. So this person, if they shot at 100 yards standing, they should feel confident that they're going to have a humane one-shot kill. Okay. If that antelope is 200 yards away, they have to pick another hunting position. They got to kneel down. They've got to shoot from a different position. And it may mean that they shoot up a shooting stick. All right. But then what we have is, remember, Dave is not the techno gear guy. So Dave's 30-06, my 30-06 is sighted in 2 inches high at 100 yards. So when I set this target at 100 yards, I aim here because I should hit 2 inches high at 100 yards. This bullseye is the bullseye radius measurement for your ethical distance. My 7 millimeter that I have, my 7 mag, is 3 inches high at 100 yards. I hold here for it. So 2 inches high at 100, 3 inches high at 100, 4 inches high at 100.
Okay.
If you have a dialoscope that the turret can dial yardages, you dial to 100 and aim here. If you have a gun, and this can be a muzzle loader, it can be a 30-06, it can be a 300 Win Mag, it can be any of that. Whatever you're sighted in at, me again, I'm 2 inches high at 100 or 3 inches high at 100. So I aim there and should punch out here. It also makes our targets easy to use for sight-in, because if you want to be 2 inches high at 100, you aim here, you should punch here, and that's how you can sight yourself in to try to tag this center circle. Okay?
Do you want to become a smarter whitetail hunter, knowing when to hunt, where to hunt, how to hunt? Over the past 4 years, people have asked me, hey, I'm struggling with spending all day in the woods and never seeing a deer, only getting opportunities at doe or young bucks, leaving the woods empty-handed too many seasons. Located the deer of a lifetime, but just flat out missed. Having difficulties finding a place to hunt, recognizing mistakes that you're making over and over again, and you want to eliminate them. Having tried and failed to find qualified mentors. Well, you've come to the right place. Why? Because Deer Hunting Institute Part 1 was created by me, Bruce Hutchin. It's a 13-module course that'll talk about being lost in the deer hunting forest. Never hunted. What is a hunter? What is an adult onset hunter? What rules apply? Finding a mentor, choosing a weapon, finding a place to hunt, scouting a hunt location, stand sites, stand access and exit, reading sign, and when to hunt. All these are available for you at deerhuntinginstitute.com. Go now to deerhuntinginstitute.com and sign up for the best deer hunting course in America.
Folks, I like that about the target. All my rifles except my .338 are set at 3 inches high at 100. I can hold out to 300 and some odd yards depending on the ballistics on any animal, and it's going to go right where I want.
Yep.
On my .338, I had that set up for over 400 yards. So I would hold that, actually it's about 4.5 inches high, and then I'd be center punching. And the reason I set up my rifles like that, because it's easy. They're all set up. I know where they print. And so when I get in a hunting situation, I'm confident of where my gun's going to shoot. If I do something to make a mess of things, it's on me. It's not on the rifle. And you have to have confidence in your rifle that it's going to print exactly where you want it. And so then you can look at a target and say, okay, boom. Take your rangefinder. If you don't have your rangefinder, it doesn't really matter because you're going to put the crosshairs right on it. And at the distance you're shooting, boom, it's going to be a one-shot kill. And I've been fortunate to have a few of those, and I've been fortunate to have a few messes. But I learn better, and so I've got a system over 50 years of shooting that I've come up with that works for me. So the thing I would add to this, find out what works for you. And like Dave says, and I can talk about the Rock, it's a Remington Action and 700 Action Leopold scoop, and we call it the Rock because when it goes off, they're hit with a rock and they drop. I mean, it's just, that's what the Rock does. And it has taken over well over 100 head of game.
Yeah, let me share this other target, Bruce, because this is kind of fun here. Same animal, 5 shots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one here is outside the 100-yard ring. This person is not ready to go hunting.
Not offhand. Were they shooting offhand?
No, this person was actually kneeling.
He's got some work to do, or she's got some work to do.
Yeah, it was a she. But what she found about this was she goes, I have my hunter's safety card. I have my license. I should be able to go hunt. We said, you're not quite ready yet. Let's go out and shoot. And we found that this was kind of part of her form. Okay, we helped her a little bit, and she practiced more. Practice is very important. You and I recognize shooting is a diminishing skill. You have to do it. Those people that want to shoot a long distance, they better realize they've got to shoot 4 rounds of ammunition than I can afford. So this one will show you that if you're outside this ring, you're not ready to go hunting. You shouldn't shoot from that position. I want to tell a quick story is we introduced these for sale last September in Colorado only. Then we introduced them nationally this January. But this past fall, we had a man and his son come, and the man bought some antelope targets because his son was 13, I think, and got an antelope license. So we explained everything to him at a local gun show, and they went out and shot. And he came back and told me the story. He says his son, the first day they went out and shot, they set the target up and he shot, and not all the bullets were in this circle. And the dad says, well, son, what did that tell you? And the boy said, well, the man explained that I'm not then ready to go hunting. And his dad goes, yeah, that's right. But don't worry, I got lots of targets. So the boy went off and practiced for about 2 weeks, came back, told his dad, I'm ready. Dad took him out. They lived on a farm in eastern Colorado, and took him out, set the target up. Son shot all 5 shots inside the 100-yard ring on the antelope target. Dad took him antelope hunting. Son was successful. A couple days after they came back, the son said, now, Dad, if next year I can keep them all in this ring, which was the 200-yard ring, can I shoot further for my antelope? And the father said, absolutely. Well, the son got the message. Dad let the targets teach the son about the ethics of shooting the distance that you can make the shot and treat the animal with the respect it deserves to have a one-shot kill. And the woman that shot this, as she practiced and got him in the 100-yard ring, she said it was the most empowering target she's ever shot, because she said, it's not my husband telling me I can go shoot now. He's not a range officer. It's me. I now have the confidence that I know I could go do it and be ethical, and the animal won't suffer. That was really, really important to her. My middle son, who I've mentioned before, he's dating a girl. And last year, she got her hunter safety card, and we did the same thing. She drew a deer license, and we took her out. And I better say it right, my son took her out to shoot and practiced all year. And as season came, he said, okay, you're rated under 100 yards standing with steady sticks. That's the only way you can shoot. They went out opening morning, very fortunate. She shot a nice buck at 78 yards off shooting sticks. One shot, bam. He hopes she's a hunter for life. Humane, she had confidence when she shot. There was no doubt, happened just like he wanted it to happen. And that's another benefit we think the targets are. Therefore, the experienced guy like you and I at 50 years or more, but they're also for the young kid, the woman, the first generation, to give them knowledge that you and I have grown to learn over lots of time. People say you use good judgment. Well, good judgment comes from experience, and many times experience comes from bad judgment. I know before I started using these, I know I couldn't shoot certain distances because I had tried and only bad things had happened, okay? So I knew that. But the reason I knew it is I had had those bad experiences. I want to tell people, you don't have to have that same experience. Learn from me. This target will help tell you how far you can shoot. And we've had several long-distance shooting academies using our targets this year. And they have vetted the product to say that, and some of these guys, they say mid-range. So mid-range to them is 600 yards, okay? That's not long range. To them, that's mid-range. But they say that our targets and the actual extrapolating out, they would take these targets, and since that center ring is the vitals, they would take that and put it out at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 yards. And they'd have to hit in that ring to be proficient at that distance. So we have lots of proof, real field proof, that shooting our target at 100 really correlates with your ability out to those longer ranges. And they found, just like I did with my Weston Trap X Sniper, most people can't shoot, and the equipment they have can't shoot that far. Federal ammunition is still one of the, I don't shoot Federal much, but I really admire them. Because if you look at their ammo box, it has two classifications. It has an average distance, 1, 2, 300 yards, and it has long distance, 4, 5, and 600 yards. And what they're doing is telling you the drop from your zero, like every cartridge box does. But Federal still is one that breaks it out, saying we think the average hunter is a 300-yard or closer hunter, and that long range should be considered over 300 yards, 400, 500, 600. There's nothing on the box that goes over 600. In fact, when we were developing our targets, they're endorsed by Boone and Crockett. One of the heads of Boone and Crockett said, we really think your target should stop at 400 yards. I go, for me personally, that's kind of my limit too, okay? But I go, I want people to see how hard it is to hit that 500 and 600 yard range 5 times, so it says that you could do it in the field. We did a fun thing in a shooting deal this past year. We had 3 shooters set the targets at 100. They shot from a hunting position. We recorded the targets. We put up new targets. We had them stand back. They walked 15 feet up a little incline, 15 feet, shot the same targets, same position. One of the 3 had the exact same score. The other 2 lost 100 yards of ability by that 15-foot walk up that little hillside, okay? Because they were breathing hard. We also set a timer. I got to be fair about that. We said they could only have so many seconds, like it was a real hunting situation. So we think the targets are just fabulous because they let you and I shoot with any gun that we have, tells us how far we can shoot, gives education, beginning shooter to the accomplished shooter. And I've learned things. I told you that my rifle, my Model 700, is 42 3/8 inches long. And with my engineering degree, I love numbers. If that gun moves a 1/16 to the right, to the left, or up, a 1/16 of an inch, that's 5 inches of bullet movement on my target, okay? That is larger than the vitals of an antelope at 200 yards, okay? Just that little 1/16 of an inch movement. So our targets are trying to stress that stable shooting position. That's why we sell them in packs of 5. We think you should practice from 5 hunting positions because when you hunt, you're going to have to pick one of those. And sometimes it's not the position you want. I didn't get an antelope 2 years ago in Wyoming because the sagebrush was so darn tall that if I knelt down to shoot the distances I needed to, I couldn't see the antelope. They were further than I could, and I couldn't find a place to lay down or anything. So it really teaches that. We think that's real important. The other thing we like about it, because of the rings, if you have a gun that has the magnification to see those rings out at 100 yards, if you see your crosshairs going across those and going back to the target, if your crosshairs are going wider than across that 200 circle from that position, you're not steady enough to shoot. We want to teach people some basics of shooting. We're actually going to produce a video soon that we'll post on our website, and our website is effectiverangetargets.com, that goes into breathing. When should you take your shot breathing? And you know, as a hunter, it's never perfect. I can tell you how to do it on the range when you have all the time in the world, and it's really great, okay? I shot competitive through high school and college, and the NRA at that time had a specific breathing pattern they wanted you to do to shoot competitively. I don't use that when I hunt, okay? If I've got the time, when I breathe in and I breathe out, before I take that next breath at the bottom, that's where I shoot, okay? If I'm hunting the timber, and I like to hunt timber, it's at the top because you see it, you go, because you're a little excited, you take that breath in, and boom. So we want the target to help people understand, and that's why this woman that did this, we kind of helped her. Part of this is her, part of it's her gun. If you can't do it at 100 yards on paper, even that 300 or 400 yard shot, you shouldn't try it in the field. The long distance shooting people have kind of proven that. They said that they've had people that can hit the 500 and 600 yard ring on our target, but then when they get out there, there's wind, there's bullet spin, there's all these other things that start to make them less accurate. So we really think that those are cool things, and we like the multiple bullseyes. That's one of my things. It's kind of a counterintuitive thing that a lot of people have a sight-in target that you shoot at the center bullseye and you want to be like you 4.5 inches high. I want to shoot at a bullseye that's 4 inches low and hit the bullseye in the center and have a bullseye that really measures how good I was. So we really think it's great. The animals, we've done something kind of fun on those. We have gone through in my months of research, and on each target, it tells you it's like a whitetail target. And so on our whitetail target, underneath the heading line, it says whitetail up here. It says effective vital area similar for. So that vital size for that animal is similar to a desert sheep, black bear. So we list animals that they're comparative for. If you were going to go desert bighorn sheep hunting, you could use our whitetail target, and the vital size is very similar. So we've done that for every target we sell. So our 6 targets really cover 22 different big game animals.
If somebody wants to buy one of your targets, how do they do that?
Well, on our website, we have a store. So
and the website is?
www.effectiverangetargets.com. Okay. We also have 2 stores in Colorado that sell them. Rocky Mountain Shooter Supply in Fort Collins, then in Platte Valley Tactical Arms sells them. And then we're trying to get them to be other places.
Have you gone to the DOW yet?
We've introduced it. The DOW, we are trying to work with them because they have a store at DOW. And we haven't got on their store yet, but that's one of our goals. We work with DOW a little bit, thinking that our target is something that absolutely needs to be in hunter education across the country. And it's sad to tell you that most game and fish departments don't even deal with marksmanship in their program anymore.
I'm thinking just the hunt of safety. Everybody who graduates from hunt of safety gets one of your targets, an elk or a mule deer.
We are working on some concept like that, Bruce, and haven't got that finalized. We've made a pitch to 4 different states' hunter safety programs so far, and still haven't got it done, but we hope to soon. We're going to do a video with a young man that just turned 12 that went through hunter safety class in Colorado. His shooting test was this. He single shot 22, 5 shots, and the instructor was wonderful. He taught him how to be safe, taught him range commands. But his marksmanship measurement was shooting into a dirt bank. So we would like to expand that vision, and we love the concept of every hunter safety person getting a target. Our targets were used in Montana this year. Montana has a master hunt program. So if you want to be a master hunt qualified person in Montana, you get extra privileges. but they used our target as part of their training process for experienced hunters wanting to become classified as master hunters. So we've looked into maybe even creating another little thing that hunter safety people could offer and teach that's more marksmanship and orientated on effective range and vital size and those kind of things. So that's in the works, but nothing concrete yet.
If you're involved in any DOW,
so just dave@effectiverangetargets.com is my email address.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show tonight. Before we go, can I take a moment and say thank you? Listen, as we started the Whitetail Rendezvous podcast journey, we had no idea what to expect. But after 4 years, we received a ton of feedback from our over 400,000 listeners and climbing to 500,000. Speaking of which, we are now closing in on over 600 featured guests. Thank you. And a quick shout out to all those who have left an iTunes review and your feedback. I get those and really appreciate it. And it's awesome to see what you have to say, and we do read every single one of them. And I just want you to know that I am incredibly grateful for your kind words regarding the show. And all of the ratings and reviews help us attract more listeners. And if you're one of those new listeners, welcome. Great to have you. By the way, if you haven't taken the time to rate and review our show and like the Hunting on Private Land strategy on how to get permission to hunt a private property, go to whitetailrendezvous.com as a special gift for just rating and reviewing our show. When you get there, look for the start button to get the details. Listen, I'll share you the top technique from some of the top hunters in the country on how do they get permission to hunt on private land. I'll share with you the exact techniques they use to get permission. As my way of saying thanks for rating and reviewing the show on iTunes. So join us next time. And remember, we're all on this journey together, learning, sharing, and becoming 365 hunters.
So just reach out to them because I got connected with Dave and then he sent me some targets. I have not shot them yet, but in just looking at them, it makes perfect sense to me. I'm not an expert marksman, but I've hunted long enough and I understand my rifle's good enough to know that this is a tool that can help anybody become better. Dave and I talked a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that Dave wants to really do is the ethical hunter. When we take a shot, we don't mess it up. And I'll raise my hand. Okay, I messed up some shots. I was too hurried, didn't play the wind. The bull was in the wrong place. The antelope was in the wrong place, but I took the shot anyway. We've all been there. And I don't like that to happen. One, I destroyed meat. Two, it was a long tracking job. Or three, I never recovered the animal. All those aren't good things. They're not good outcomes. But when they just drop out of your scope, that's a good outcome. And that's my goal with every shot I take is for them to just drop out of my scope when the world went dark. My friends have a little TV show when the world went dark. And that's what you want to happen. It's just lights out, boom, over. And then you go and retrieve your game. So Dave, why don't you just wrap up with the promo code, offer a promo code to the listeners or what we talked about at the beginning of the show.
I will. Before I do that, I want to share a quick story because that ethical hunter is so important. And you and I talked about this, that in society today, we have about 5% of people hunt, 5% of the people are anti-hunting. For us to continue to have a hunting industry, we need the population in between that 5% and 5% to think hunting is okay. And they do that when hunters are ethical and humane. And we want our targets to help promote that in society, that they see hunters are using targets that teach one-shot humane kills. So want to just emphasize that is important to us. So we want to offer any of your listeners a 10% discount coupon code today. So if they went to our website and ordered targets, at the end of their shopping cart experience, they'll ask for a coupon code. If they would use WTR, Whitetail Rendezvous 725, today's date, so WRT 725, they will automatically get a 10% discount on any of the targets they buy, no matter what quantity it is.
That promo code is WTR725. When you go to the shopping cart, insert that, and you're going to get a 10% discount. A package of 5, what does it cost? What's the retail cost?
They start from $8.95 for wild hog and whitetail. Then they go to $10.95, and then the elk, because they're so large, are $14.95.
And that's for a 5-pack.
Or a 5-pack. And then we have some specialty like sheep and others that we don't produce enough to get a good volume discount on. They're a little more expensive.
So one more time, if somebody's interested in finding out more information about effective range targets, where do they go to?
EffectiveRangeTargets.com.
And folks, think about finding out what your effective range is. And I just love the concept because I like Dave shot in a poke in a shot or whatever. And that's not a good way to learn how to shoot. Over the years, I've been blessed with some great instructors. I've met some great hunters in my travels. And here and there, you pick things up. So I'm shooting 5 shots, quarter groups. But everybody can't do that. I reload. So I've done a lot of things to tighten the group, but that's off a bench. That's off sandbags. That's a bench. And so I, like anybody, need to know my effective range, which sometimes isn't what I think in my mind.
Yeah. Yes.
I shouldn't laugh at that because that's a real thing. Some days I'll pull the trigger and they'll drop out of the scope as far as I want to shoot. And other days I'll miss and it's not good. So I like it because I'm going to take all my rifles out and put them on the range and dial them in, but I'm going to do that prone sitting and kneeling and then offhand. I've shot a lot of game offhand, but then I'm over 70 yards. I can think of lots and lots of whitetail that all of a sudden they're up and the rifle's up and boom, it's all over. But they're under 100 yards. And so that really expands. If you look at that target, that expands that effective range of the 100 yards. It gets even bigger every inch or every foot. I can't extrapolate it this quick. But anyway, there's an extrapolation that the closer you get to you, the larger that kill range becomes. Your effective range will become. It's a math problem, and I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, having said that, there's plenty of people I know, a deer gets up, they put up their gun, and they shoot it, and their effective range is just their knowledge of how far they're shooting. But like in archery, a typical whitetail shot is under 30 yards with a bow. With crossbows, it goes out, it can go out a little further. But now we're talking rifles, and I think effective range targets is something that everybody can at least shoot one target on their game and say, okay, that's it, and establish it. And that's why Boone and Crockett Club has endorsed them for everybody. So last thoughts, Dave, and then we're going to wrap up.
Well, first of all, appreciate being on your show. And second thing is, sometimes whether we can make that shot or not is emotional. You look at that animal, it jumps up, and you say, can I make that shot? And you go, I think I can. We want people to be able to say, I know I can. Okay, shot enough to understand how far they can shoot for that animal in that position so that they do have success, they have a great experience, and they stay engaged in a wonderful industry that I love. So thank you, Bruce.
Thank you so much, Dave Howard with Effective Range Target, for being a guest today on Whitetail Rendezvous.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.